Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
You know, either younger than us or, you know, past and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford has reportedly accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith. Crawford explained that for him, boxing is about testing limits and embracing challenges no matter how daunting they seem. He emphasized that the best should fight the best, and once again he's ready to step up. With calm confidence, Crawford made it clear that facing Mayweather is simply another way for him to prove himself and push past every...
Because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
Expectation. Stephen A. Smith has never been shy with bold takes in sports, and boxing is no exception. When he praised Terence Crawford for becoming a champion and for different weight divisions, it wasn't just a casual compliment, it was recognition of a rare achievement in today's boxing world. In an era where many fighters hesitate to move up or down because of the risks, Crawford's dominance across four weight classes puts him in elite category. Stephen A. stressed that this versatility and consistency elevate Crawford as an all-time pound-for-pound great. It highlights not only his physical adaptability, but also his technical brilliance, mental toughness, and relentless drive to keep testing himself against...
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford.
The toughest challenges. Roy Jones Jr., a legend who knows firsthand what it takes to conquer divisions, also praised Crawford's brilliance. He noted that in Crawford's fight with Canelo Alvarez, he showed the ability to borrow from the arsenals of Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara to men who had previously troubled Canelo. According to Jones, this ability to study, adapt, and apply strategies effectively is what separates Crawford. It proves he isn't just a naturally gifted fighter, he's also a sharp student of the sport. What impressed Jones most was that Crawford didn't simply copy those tactics, he absorbed them, adjusted them into his own rhythm, and made them even more effective in real time.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint, and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out.
You know, he's going out and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh.
That adaptability is what sets him apart from fighters who rely on one style and struggle when facing elite opposition. The possibility of Crawford stepping into the ring with Mayweather even in an exhibition has sparked heated debate. Critics argue that a fight like this could tarnish Crawford's legacy. They believe that instead of adding to his historic achievements, like dismantling Errol Spence and outclassing Canelo, it could be viewed as chasing money rather than glory. This concern comes from Mayweather's recent focus on high-paying exhibitions instead of meaningful legacy bouts. Analysts warn that Crawford has worked too hard to risk being seen as someone prioritizing financial gain over history. On the other hand, many insist that Crawford's legacy is already cemented, and if he chooses to fight Mayweather, it would simply add another fascinating chapter to his story. When fans
Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
compare Mayweather and Crawford, the debate becomes complex. Floyd's resume is filled with victories over some of boxing's greatest names, but critics often point to the timing of those wins. Canelo was still young and inexperienced when he faced Floyd, while Pacquiao entered their 2015 fight carrying an injury. And Mayweather's refusal to grant certain rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left lingering doubts among fans. Crawford's dominance, by contrast, has come against opponents at or near their best. That's why debates rage over whether Mayweather's perfection was purely the result of unmatched skill, or partly the product of careful timing and matchmaking.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.